There's a lot of men in this show.
There's a lot of men.
I'm going to do my best not to touch you.
A lot of body.
Okay.
It's okay.
I'm going to do my best to touch you.
Just be gentle.
We are going to talk about spoilers, though. We've all seen the film. Matt and I saw it again tonight. You've only seen it once.
Wasn't invited, but that's okay. Maybe next time.
Honestly, there were only 2 seats available. If there was a third, you would have been there.
I could have sat on someone's lap.
But now you know which one of you I like more.
Fair enough.
So. Fucking good. So, Loki dies.
For now.
Yeah.
Does anyone really ever die?
That's the thing. I have no idea. Like,
he died in Thor 2.
Yeah. Everyone died. But I mean, like, there's a scene where Thor is like, I think it might be for real this time.
This film could have ended, I'll just get into it right now. Thor had a really great arc with his brother dying. Tying it back in, we're just talking about Loki. And him killing Thanos would have been dope to end the film. But you just have to continue it and make more stuff. And I'm assuming what my idea was will just be in Infinity War 2, whatever the hell it's going to be called.
Yeah, supposedly the title is supposed to be like a big spoiler. Like, that's why they haven't revealed the title yet. Or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what the Russo brothers said anyway.
Well, yeah, but as far as what you said, you got to make a part 2, you got to make more money. And essentially that is the plot of this movie. The Infinity Stone that turns back time will be what saves everyone in the next movie. But I like the way the movie opened up. I like that Loki died. I like within the first 2 minutes of this movie, you see the Hulk fighting Thanos. And I was like, okay, this is good. I like what I'm watching.
Yeah, it's a good opening. I think the Russo brothers did a really good job. I actually liked it a hair more the second time, actually. I was able to just, like, breathe and have fun and not be so concerned about, like, being focused on everything. And also, going to press screenings is cool. You know, like, we all got to go to a press screening, and it was just, like, 10 people in the theater, and it was really nice. But seeing a movie with a crowd, if they're respectful, it does change the experience. Like, it does make it a different movie, and it did today.
Definitely heightens everything.
Yeah.
I definitely would agree with that.
Speaking of Hulk, great opening scene, but that's the only time you get to see Hulk in this movie.
For about 1 minute, you get Hulk, and that's kind of a letdown, but at the same time, this was such an ensemble cast of characters. The Hulk was almost overkill, and they needed to make the Avengers look like underdogs ever so slightly to Thanos, so they're saving the flavor for Green Hulk in the next movie. Or at least I hope they are.
Green Hulk?
Hulk. But I did like that they gave Bruce Banner something to do at the end of the movie where he's in the Hulkbuster suit, which is kind of like cool, like the thing that almost defeated him in the last Avengers movie. He's actually in it. But it was underpowered in this movie compared to in Age of Ultron. It was like a shitty robot mechanism that was falling apart under its own weight. And I noticed a lot of people in this film, not to get nerdy or weird, but a lot of people were underpowered in this movie.
How do you get all of these, like, god-like people, a couple of them, one of them actually is a god, into this movie and then have no one be able to defeat Thanos? So Vision, he gets stabbed in the back pretty much early on, and then his powers are weakened. And like you said, the Hulk just doesn't want to come out. So all of these people that maybe could legitimately overpower him are nerfed, essentially, which I guess had to happen.
And also the movie's just like, hey, Hawkeye, fuck you. We know you have nothing to do here. We don't need you.
Basically, yeah. We'll see. We'll see if he comes back next time in the
What's
sequel.
he gonna do?
He's gonna be there. You saw that picture of him with like a mohawk.
There were really select moments of power. Maybe they savored it, the Russo brothers, because, like, for example, Captain America's a really strong dude, and so when Thanos had his, and then Thanos like, what? When he's holding it back. Really liked Thor's like new hammer, whatever the hell that axe thing is.
Stormbreaker?
I did like that,
Yeah, that was a really great moment of power. Like I said, I really wish the film would have ended there and he killed him, but yeah, so it was very like weakened for our heroes.
I like how they explored Thanos and his mind. Like, you got to understand his personality. It wasn't just like he was a big, strong, punchy guy. Like, there was pain with Gamora. He had to sacrifice Gamora to get the Soul Stone. It seemed like it was really hard on him.
I really liked Thanos in this movie more than I thought I would. They actually made him a character, like you said. Yeah, he believes in human genocide, which is, it's not the nicest thing ever, but he has a reason and a logic behind it, and it's like, oh, you can almost for a second understand where he's coming from. And
finally, in a Marvel movie.
Yeah, finally they did it! And he's purple. But I love Josh Brolin in this movie, and I loved the way it ends. Finally, in a Marvel movie, the bad guy wins. And at the end of the movie, all he wants to do is commit human genocide, sit at his log cabin looking at the sunset. And I'm like, I can almost respect that.
That's what you want to do?
Half of that. I'm not going to tell you which half.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like right off the bat, Idris Elba, he's gone.
Loki's gone.
Loki, yeah.
Or is he really?
And then by the end of the movie, half of everyone's gone.
Yeah. Spider-Man, Black Panther,
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch, Vision.
But after we watched the movie the other day, you brought up an interesting point. The only people remaining are the original Avengers, which coincidentally works out. So I'm kind of excited to see where the next movie goes with that.
I feel like, I don't know how you feel about this, Matt, but I feel like it'll be sort of like a great arc from like the first Avengers, the original team, and now it's just them, and they have to figure out how to save the next team.
So like maybe a new Spider-Man comes in, or a new Black Panther, is that what you mean?
No, I feel like it's going to be, because like from the first Avengers and then on to the second, the arc seems to be that it's the old training the new.
Okay.
And now the new is pretty much all gone,
Yeah.
and it's just left with the originals.
Yeah.
So maybe now the originals have to make some sort of sacrifice for the new team.
That would make a lot of sense because they have to write them out eventually. So
Yeah.
what if they sacrifice themselves for the betterment of humanity?
Could be.
Well, I know that in comics, like, there's like a new Star-Lord. She's like a female, and like they switched up some stuff now for some of the newer. I didn't see any of it, but I just saw like the covers. So there's some new ideas that they're throwing out. Maybe they're gonna have new age Avengers. I have no idea.
I have no idea. I'm excited. That's something I can say that I've never really experienced before with any of these MCU movies. I really don't have any clue where they're going, which is something I really like, is that it's like half the team is dead. Thanos won, and he's just sitting in a cabin somewhere. And when it ends, it's not like your typical Marvel credits either. It was almost like a Nolan movie credits. Like it was just white text and black screen, and then you get one last end credit scene, but it was so just kind of dour. You're not used to that in an MCU movie.
That's why the Russo brothers were the perfect choice to direct this. That's what this movie needed. And I thought from a directing standpoint, it's the tone I wanted this movie to be because it's fun, but also the action sequences are gritty and like it gets a little bit darker. And like you said, with the ending scene, it's dour. And that's what this universe needs.
I like how Samuel L. Jackson fades away. Mother.
Yeah.
It's like they wrote that. It's like in the script, they didn't put Nick Fury, motherfucker. They put Samuel L. Jackson, motherfucker, in the script.
That's what was needed, yeah.
Pretty much all of my favorite aspects of this film, like beyond the really cool action scenes that are just fun summer, popcorn stuff that's exciting to watch. If you like these characters already, it's exciting. I love everything with the Guardians and Thor. They did a good job of like separating different heroes. Like we'll put Doctor Strange and Tony Stark, the two snarky guys with goatees, in one place together and just have them face off. We'll put Thor, who was introduced as a more comical presence in Ragnarok, with the Guardians. And I liked all the stuff that was brought about by that. I know it's some of your favorite parts of the movie too.
Yeah, I could quote that all day. How long have you been staying there? An hour.
That's great.
Drax is amazing in this movie.
Oh my
Drax
God.
is amazing at everything.
He is so
He
good.
really is.
I love him. And the thing is, like, I've seen some people who are concerned that perhaps he's becoming too much of a joke character. I don't care.
They need to rewatch Guardians 2 because that whole scene with Mantis, that was beautiful. So
Yeah.
I think people just need to stop like looking on the internet for their opinions and just like formulate their own, maybe.
That's a good idea. What are
Yeah.
you all doing here?
The one thing I didn't like about the Guardians, and it almost felt, from a script standpoint, it was out of character. Star-Lord in this movie is sort of an insecure asshole.
Yeah.
And he causes essentially the destruction of the universe by not being able to hold his temper back for 5 seconds. And they're about to get the Infinity Stones off Thanos' fist, and he just has to start punching him in the face.
That was one of the better scenes in the film, I thought.
Oh, it was
that was
amazing.
really riveting.
Yeah, I want to talk about this for sure. Well, I want to disagree with you because as a writer, and you have to, put your conflicts for your characters, right? So this is a guy who, in the beginning, didn't really like Gamora, and then now he really likes her. And you can see in his face, we were talking about this earlier, like he crying almost twice for shooting Gamora, and then the bubbles came out. And then the second time, where he's in Thanos' face, was my favorite moment in the whole film. Like he's actually like a human being. Like he isn't like just a rock or a robot. Like he actually has some emotion and attachment to these people. Now, this is the third time we've seen him in a movie, so.
And they even set it up a little bit, like when he's talking to Thor. It's a funny scene, but he's like, I had to kill my own father, and my mother's gone, and everything. And he's like, I think that's harder than having to kill a sister. Like it's funny, but it's true. He really has lost a lot, and I feel like maybe Gamora kind of his last love, really, that's alive. So
Sure.
I can see how a guy like that would make that mistake. It's frustrating because you're like, it was right there. Couldn't you have waited a couple more seconds?
But that's what love is.
I know, I get it. It's frustrating because it makes Star-Lord less appealing because you're like, it's your fault. But at the same time, out of any character, if there was one that had to do that, I would say it would probably be him because he's the most human, just normal guy out of the majority of them that isn't as heroic as, say, Tony Stark is, because Tony's been through more. Sure. He's had more life and death scenarios. He already tried to give his life for New York in the first Avengers, and Star-Lord's had to do a lot of terrible decisions too, but I feel like maybe that was just sort of like the last straw. Like his mom, okay, that was terrible. My dad, okay, that was terrible. Oh, now Gamora, okay, I'm done. So I kind of feel with you. Mm-hmm. I kind of agree with both of you, really. It was a little out of character, but if anyone had to make that choice, I would say it was him.
I feel like it's more appealing, at least to me, because he makes it more human. And
it's more human, but they also had a plan in place to save the universe. And at the last second,
well, we're human, we make mistakes.
We do, and I agree with that. But not even from that scene, the whole movie, he was sort of an unlikable character. And I feel like that was just the one out-of-place character in the entire movie that didn't really mesh with previous other films.
If you make a person in a film like a character rather than a human being, which one are you going to, say, oh yeah, I'm more connected to the human being rather than the character in a film? So I feel like Star-Lord in this movie was more of a human being rather than like a character written in a script to me, with all the decision making.
I feel like if any character should have caused that incident to maybe like the plan to fail, it should have been Drax, because he's the one who lost his entire planet to Thanos, and he lost his temper in the first Guardians movie where he made the plan fail the first time. So maybe I feel like maybe that character would have worked better for that situation.
Maybe. But they kind of had him almost lose his shit the first time he sees Thanos. And then I feel like after he got sliced up into domino pieces, he probably was like, I'm not doing that again.
And speaking of that big action sequence, as I say that, I want to put my hands on both your shoulders. How does this feel? Do you feel like a team, a unit?
Yeah, I feel really team-like.
All right, anyway. Thank you for that, Chris. Speaking of that action sequence, like you were saying, like it was so suspenseful. And, it's been a while since a movie really got me on the edge of my seat. And even though these movies, for the most part, sometimes are predictable, that was one scene where I was like, oh my God, are they going to be able to get the Infinity Stones? And it was just so well choreographed and executed. It was one of many sequences in this movie that really, truly impressed me. And I went into this movie knowing that I was going to get these huge blockbuster sequences, but they still impressed me. And that was one of my favorite things about this movie.
Yeah, it's one of the better action scenes. Really, all the actions. The Russo brothers are very good with action and making it feel tangible.
Winter Soldier is a good film in the sense of it's a good story. Same with Civil War, but something I noticed with them, and something I don't like in films, is like the direction of action when you're just like close up and I can't see anything that's going on, what's happening in Winter Soldier, like the first on the boat or whatever, on like the deck they're fighting. Sure. I couldn't see a damn thing what was going on because everything was just all close ups and like quick cuts. But in Civil War they improved. And everything was a little wider, a little bit more breathing for the editing. This film was actually like awesome. I actually see what the hell's going on. So I think maybe, I don't know if they're improving as filmmakers, but this one's the one where they're like, they really did a good job of letting me see everything.
Yeah.
Because I'm, not to cut you off, I'm more of a John Wick fan. I like to see everything as much as possible in the frame and as long takes as possible. And this film actually like gave that to me.
Yeah, this was grander. It felt bigger, and I know we didn't get to see it in IMAX tonight, but the entire film was shot with IMAX cameras.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. What? The entire thing?
That's incredible.
Oh my God, okay.
Yeah, it's the first. So I kind of want to go out of my way to see it in IMAX. The closest IMAX theater is pretty far.
It's Columbus or Detroit. So.
Yeah. So all the stuff on Wakanda was, a big army fighting the Avengers, and every Avengers movie has a big like bug army or robot army or alien bug army, bug people. I like I like seeing people just get punched in the face.
The one like dog thing almost looked like Venom.
Like the top part. Yeah, they look like Venoms. Yeah. They look like the creatures from A Quiet Place.
A little bit,
almost.
Yeah. Maybe John Krasinski's in the background, like, shh. Why are you making stuff? Everyone's gonna die. One of my favorite shots in the movie, from an action standpoint, was all of the Wakandans advancing, and then you just see Black Panther and Captain America, like running faster than everyone else. really, that's what I need. I need like that intensity. I need that excitement, and that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that whole scene, every one of these big movies where you have different locations and all the action sequences are happening back to back, you need the hand-to-hand combat scene. That's what the Wakanda scene was. That scene also reminded me of an episode of Game of Thrones where they have the same almost sequence, and instead of the Hulkbuster in the Game of Thrones, they have a big giant.
Speaking of Game of Thrones, there's a man in this film named Peter Dinklage.
I love him.
Yeah, he's great. Tonight, because we got to see it with the crowd. This is one of the reasons the crowd helped. It was as soon as he went, like, he was like, and he turns his face. It was like 3 guys went, ha!
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
He was good. It was entertaining. There's some good lines. Like Thor is like, he's trying to open up the star the machine, and he's like, it's going to kill you. And he's like, only if I die. Yes, that's what killing you means. Like, there's a lot of great lines in there too. I love again with Thor, he when he beams down to the battlefield and he sees Chris Evans, and Chris Evans is like, new haircut? I see you've copied my beard. It's like, that's the stuff I need.
And it's
Rabbit.
Yeah, yeah. Rabbit. Yeah, it's all sprinkled in there perfectly. Like, it's not overwhelmingly cheesy or corny. It's just perfect. They get a one-liner in there, and then they go into battle.
That sounds like a made-up word. Oh, was it made up?
Yeah, that was great.
That's still
too.
my favorite line.
It's really great. I
love
love some of the funniest lines in this movie are actually off screen. When the Guardians and Iron Man and Spider-Man are kind of like having some banter on Titan. And Mantis is like, is it Kevin Bacon? Like, world's greatest hero? And Spider-Man's like, from Footloose, and Star-Lord says, Footloose, is this still the greatest movie? And off screen you hear Spider-Man, it never was. And then
it's like, you see his facial expression change.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's like a great little movie nerd moment, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of like old pop culture references, there's probably something in here that you loved. They use it as a plot device where they reference aliens.
Yeah. Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You see that old movie? It's not that old. It just makes it funny.
Yeah.
Because he's so young, he thinks it's old because he's 86.
Just like Empire Strikes Back and Civil War. He was like, see that old movie, Empire Strikes Back? So I guess they're just going to keep doing that in all the Russo Brothers Spider-Man movies. But and then Squidward gets launched out of the hole.
When he called him Squidward, that was perfect. Yeah,
good humor in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dark. You know, it's.
Hi, I'm Peter. Oh, we're using fake names. I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah. What I like about this movie, even though it does feel so hopeless, like, as the heroes don't seem to have like a single glint of that victory in sight, it's still kind of funny. You know, it's not just like, it's like, oh, like you don't leave like, oh my god, like it's a fun experience.
It feels like they were doing their best to include every character in this movie, giving them their scene, something to do to please people. But at times, it just feels like a scene, and then a scene, and then a scene, and there's no rhythm. It feels disconjointed almost.
A little bit. It can be hard to. I can't really imagine like the daunting task of creating this movie with all of these characters, because watching it a second time, I was able to see more clearly like. Every major character gets like a big introduction scene that usually involves an action scene or a fight of some kind. Scarlet Witch and Vision, they're in Scotland, and here comes a big fight. They do that with pretty much every character, and they find a pretty cohesive way to blend it all together. But it does kind of feel like a bunch of awesome, huge moments, and it doesn't always flow. It's a little uneven, a little clunky. But I think on second viewing, for me, it did flow a little better. And like I said, it could have something to do with just being able to sit back and relax and not be so concerned about watching everything and making sure I see everything that happens. And it was just sort of like, let's just have fun. And I think it was a little bit better the second time for me.
Did you notice throughout, Thanos has the opportunity to kill a lot of people, but he simply chooses not to do it? There's a time where in the first 5 minutes of the movie, he could have killed Thor. Thor's wrapped in metal. Thanos could have just killed him right there on the spot. Doesn't. Takes off. There's a few other scenes where Thanos has the ability to kill different Avengers, and he simply doesn't do it, and he just leaves the scene.
I think it's because he doesn't want to just murder people because of murder. I think he just wants to exterminate half of mankind. He like, in his head, he's the hero of his own story.
Sure.
Like, he thinks, I'm doing something right. I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
He'll make this necessary sacrifices.
Yeah. Like, even with Star-Lord.
Yeah.
When Star-Lord does shoot Gamora, even though he doesn't, he's like, I like you. And then he backs away into his little portal or whatever.
Yeah, he feeds into his own ideology, and he has a moral code. Even if he is a villain or a bad guy, he has to have this standard, and he can't deviate from that. I thought, talking about earlier, these moments of Chris Pratt, Star-Lord, with the gun, twice for Thanos, and I really liked it. I thought Chris Pratt's acting was fantastic, him crying. And actually, I talked about this when we went to the car to come back here after we saw it for the second time. I felt in that moment, the first time when he's got the bubbles in the gun, when he has to kill Gamora, I felt myself like projecting into his like role. Like, what if I had to kill the person I love? It's just like, holy shit! Like, this is some like heavy stuff that I'm starting to really feel from a Marvel movie. It really felt great.
Yeah, they gave Star-Lord some of the hardest choices in this movie. He, commits to killing the woman he loves, and then he's put face to face with the guy who actually does it.
Yeah, he has a great range of where he can do the comedy, like, oh, I'll get a Bowflex. But then, like, I can just feel for his character in those moments, which is, in a Marvel movie, really outstanding job. So.
Yeah. Despite how these movies are generally viewed as fun popcorn movies and not much else, they do a great job of understanding what are the hardest decisions that certain characters have to make and then forcing them to make it.
Like the Civil War.
They make Thor watch his brother die. Now that's his brother, his mother, his sister,
and his dad in the last
father.
one.
And there's a great scene between him and Rocket, where Rocket's like, okay, I guess I gotta be the captain. And he goes and walks over and talks to him and has that little heart-to-heart moment. And Thor is crying, but he's trying to like act like he's, a big macho man and everything. And he's like, oh, what else could I lose?
That was really great acting, too, because he's trying to smile and stuff, but the whole time his eyes are watering. That's great acting.
Yeah.
So, it's a fantastic film.
These actors, honestly, like, you can say what you want about the MCU and everything, but they've done an amazing job casting these movies.
That's perfect casting.
It really is. I mean, you can't see anybody else playing these characters, really. Really no mistakes in regards to casting. Everyone is just really on point. And I think this movie is a blast. Like, honestly, it's just, it has a few issues, really. I'm excited to see it a third time.
I want to see it again. Yeah, just talking about it makes me excited to go see it again. I knew when we were watching in the theater the first time, there were scenes that you had to watch a second time to really get it all in.
It gave me what I expected, but a little more. Like, I honestly did not expect it to just end with half of the Avengers and the superheroes fading into dust. I'm sure some of them will be back. There's no way they're just going to be like, well, there's no Black Panther 2. It was immensely successful and everybody really liked it, but we're not going to make another one. I'm sure they'll come back in some way, shape, or form, but I'm curious to see how. And I really don't know how, which is something I'm excited to see.
I think, as you've said, and we've said it 100 times before, a superhero movie is only as good as its villain. And if anything, from the first Avengers film where you get that crappy CG shot of Thanos turning his head to now, you got a real character in this movie, and I bought into it and everything that was happening and the consequences, and I loved it. I loved Thanos in this film. That was the biggest surprise, and I didn't think much going into this movie. I was pleasantly surprised by it, so 2 thumbs up.
I agree with both of you. We have a really badass film. I really liked Hela. Hela's in the last one.
Yeah, I liked her too.
Hela, I don't know why people really harped on Hela. She had a lot of power. Same with Thanos. Why do people like Thanos so much? She was badass and he had a lot of power. So, like, when you take Thor's hammer and break it, your first scene, that's pretty bad. And she, in the first, like, big action sequence, she's whipping everybody's ass in Asgard. That's really awesome. So that's very underrated. So Marvel's doing a great job with the villains. And I don't know how I felt about the ending when we saw it press screening. But I really appreciate it for being ballsy as hell.
Yeah.
So.
And also, we're going to see the continuation next year. So
yeah.
I feel like this movie will perhaps improve a little bit once we see the full arc.
Absolutely.
If the second one's better, or at least as good as this. So yeah, Avengers Infinity War, we all liked it. A couple little nitpicky issues, but it's a good movie. If you've been a fan of the MCU for the past 10 years, or even before that, you love the comics, you'll probably enjoy this. Thanks so much for watching. Definitely subscribe to my friend Flickpick. You can see his link in the description below. My friend Matt as well. His channel's in the description. Thank you so much as always for watching, guys. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmannized. I'm going to go watch Thor Ragnarok because you made me want to.
Yeah, I kind of want to now, too. Yeah.
Second greatest.
Let's watch Winter Soldier after that.
Second greatest. We're going to watch Guardians. Second greatest MCU film. Thor Ragnarok. Let's go.
Yeah!